Good morning, everybody. Well, my name is Alberto Belda, and it is a pleasure for me to present and discuss with you this wet water, energy, and food nexus, in particular with the focus on solar-powered irrigation systems. Well, nexus means connection, and it basically refers to the intrinsic connections that exist between resources, and in this case, between water, energy, and food. So, to produce food, we need water, and to pump and distribute water, we need energy. That is nexus. But then what the nexus approach offers is an integrated or holistic vision of the resource system, so that we can try to balance different goals, usually opposed or contrary, while keeping the integrity of the ecosystems. Differently said, the nexus, by looking at all sectors at the same time, aims at understanding the interactions between them to manage and use our limited resources sustainably and in a more coordinated way. And well, in order to comprehend the concept of nexus, let's have a look at a more visual description. So, well, everything starts with us. As humans, we perform different activities with specific targets to be fulfilled that ultimately contribute to our development. These targets can be needs, interests, or goals depending on their emergency and importance, and in this case, all these targets are focused on water, energy, and food, which are essential for human development. However, all these activities do not occur in an isolated way, but in a certain ecosystem where we are, which is constituted by limited resources. And this is very remarkable. Our resources may be abundant, but are always limited. And these resources can be socioeconomic, such as capital, labor, or knowledge, or natural, such as water, energy, and food or land. But how these two groups, resources and activities, targets, are connected? Well, actually it is the way we use and manage these resources to cover our needs what sets certain interactions. And these interactions can be interdependencies, when two elements depend on each other, constraints when one element imposes some conditions over another one, or synergies when they reinforce each other, so win-win relationships. And well, what do these interactions connect? Well, basically everything, and that's the point of the nexus. So from a nexus approach, we need to try to consider every possible interaction. Moreover, these interactions are strongly affected by the context. So it provides certain drivers, such as population growth, climate change, governance. And for instance, let's imagine if due to climate change, droughts are more frequent, we will have less water resources, and the interactions with water will be more critical. And basically this is nexus. So we can see here now a summarized representation of the nexus here, yes, which is a holistic vision of our system which considers every possible interaction. Again, nexus means connection, and the idea is to keep in mind that everything is connected. So as it is said here, the way we use one resource to cover a certain need can impact other resources and jeopardize fulfilling many other objectives. Well, to finish this overview of the nexus, after seeing what it is and how connections are set, let's see why nexus is so important. First of all, it is clear that water, energy, and food are essential for human well-being and for sustainable development. But furthermore, we see that the demand of these resources is increasing significantly and will be considerably higher in the near future due to those factors that I mentioned before, such as climate change, population growth, or cultural and economic changes. Consequently, the interactions will be exacerbated and competition between resources and for resources will be greater. The problem of this is that traditionally, water, energy, and food challenges or food-related challenges were addressed individually, and impacts on other sectors were not considered. That is why across-sectoral coordination is so important in decision-making processes. And I want to highlight this one more time. So across-sectoral coordination is very important in decision-making processes. And that is why the nexus is so relevant, because it contributes to anticipating trade-offs and synergies. So stakeholders have the opportunity to define and assess more integrated response options. And thanks to this integrated management of resources, as said before, the web nexus contributes to water, energy, and food security, which are essential and are actually included and represented by 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals. But the point on the importance of the nexus is that it is also indirectly connected to all 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which is of great relevance to achieve UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And now that we have an idea of what is nexus, let's try to apply this approach to solar-powered irrigation system. Well, already from the very first moment, it is not difficult to link web nexus approach and solar-powered irrigation system, because even it is somehow contained in the name. So when we refer to solar-powered irrigation system, we talk about solar energy, which is used to pump water and in turn is used for crops irrigation. Additionally, of course, we need capital, we need knowledge, the know-how, and also labor to operate, design, operate, and maintain these systems. And well, with these systems, we contribute to improving food security, but also water and energy security. Let's try now to carry out an analysis a bit more in detail of solar-powered irrigation systems for a nexus approach. Unfortunately, I have limited time, but I will try to highlight some of the main aspects. And let's start here by the benefits of these systems, and in particular those for farmers, so from a farmer's perspective. And let's assume, and this is very important, that the solar-powered irrigation systems have been properly deployed, because otherwise, as we will see, they may have very negative effects. So assuming solar-powered irrigation systems are properly deployed, we can say that they provide a decentralized, reliable, predictable, because we can estimate when solar energy will be available, and also environmentally sustainable energy supply. This supply also contributes to improving the energy security, since we depend less on the availability of or prices of other energy resources, such as diesel or electricity. It also contributes to water security by improving the access to water. And also acts as a buffer during dry seasons, because the effects of droughts on groundwater are not immediate, so we can usually pump water even during dry seasons. For that reason, we can also say that these systems contribute to climate mitigation, well, climate resilience, and also to climate change mitigation, because these systems do not produce greenhouse gas emissions during their use. This is important. Regarding food, solar-powered irrigation systems improve food security by stabilizing, increasing, and diversifying food production, and usually they increase productivity because they allow for additional crop seasons, not only rainfall dependent, and also higher value crops. These systems have also low operation maintenance cost compared to other solutions, because there's no need to buy fuel, and also due to the decreasing prices of photovoltaic system and its scalability, these systems are becoming cost effective in the long run compared to other options. From the perspective of governments, however, there are some similar benefits, but also some additional ones. First, it also increases access to energy and energy independence at a broader scale. It contributes to achieving renewable targets, and it also increases agricultural production. But also it prepares, let's say, to changes such as increasing demands or dietary changes through diversification of crops. It can also promote rural development. Yeah, it creates jobs, and it reduces fossil fuel subsidies. And in general, it promotes a green growth by reducing the carbon footprint of irrigation. However, well, these are, let's say, more general benefits, but there are many other benefits which are not always possible, not always happen, but they are potential benefits. So let's see some of them. For instance, if there is a surplus of energy production, we can use that energy to cover other services, other energy services, such as milling or food processing. But also, solar-powered irrigation system can increase water quality by integrating filtration. It also saves time in water-related tasks, and this is very important because in many cases water needs to be carried from far distances to the field, and this is of special interest for women and children who are usually those responsible for these tasks. Moreover, the space under PV, which can be considered as lost, can be used to plant high-value crops or even shading for animals. Also, pressurized systems as drip irrigation can be integrated, hence increasing irrigation efficiency. And finally, this system, just to mention some of the benefits, can promote new business models such as cooperatives, pay-as-you-go or one-stop shops, and can contribute to income diversification by allowing farmers to sell their food or, well, their food production surplus. But unfortunately, not everything is that good. Even in this case, there are also multiple risks and limitations that need to be considered. And probably the most important one is the overuse and over-abstraction of groundwater and water resources, which actually can decrease water tables and lead to the depletion and degradation of aquifers. This can happen due to different reasons. First, because of an overestimation of water resources, and many times because resources are not even estimated. Second, because decentralized systems such as off-grid solar powered irrigation system or solar pumping are very difficult to control and regulate, and the proliferation of illegal pumps can happen quite easily. And the third one, and probably the most common one, is because users, once they have their solar systems installed, try to maximize their use as soon as there is solar energy. And they think that water resources are just unlimited, which is not true, as I said before. Other risks are a higher use of energy because pressurized systems have a larger energy requirements. Also inadequate irrigation, as I said, but also due to the lack of knowledge on irrigation calendars or water requirements for each crop. So if we don't know how much water we need for a crop, we may over-irrigate. Or also other, let's say, knowledge-related risks. Just to mention one, low adoption rates due to the lack of awareness or even the lack of trust between users, governments, and the utilities. And probably the second most important limitations are the economic ones, because, well, solar-powered irrigation systems still have a relatively high initial cost, which many times cannot be afforded. And sometimes this is emphasized by high taxes on imports, which actually distort prices, and the lack of financial support. Of course, environmental risks also exist, such as climate change or harmful waste from photovoltaics manufacturing. But there are also additional risks, such as the lack of distribution channels, including suppliers or maintenance services, because in case people cannot find spare parts or maintenance technicians, the environment will not be adequate and people will not want to install solar-powered irrigation systems. And other limitations, other social limitations, let's say, can be, for instance, the risk of theft. And this is very interesting because insurance companies may not want to cover solar pumps due to this risk of theft, and without an insurance, it is not possible to get a loan. So, well, quite an interesting dilemma. Let's go on. So, to overcome some of these limitations and risks that we have seen before, there are different policy instruments that we can adopt or we can implement. Let me check. Well, I don't know.
There's not more.
Yeah, okay. There's quite a delay. So first of all, and yeah, probably the most common ones are subsidies and loans, which basically cover part of or all of the investment cost. However, these instruments need to be designed very carefully to avoid undesired effects, as I was saying before. So, for instance, if these instruments are applied without properly considering water availability or long-term effects, there will be a high risk of over-abstraction, as happened in India, for instance. But also subsidies may cause market distortions by offering unrealistic low prices and leading to losses and preventing cost recovery for utilities. And something that is usually not considered, and I think I find it very interesting, is that these instruments are often restricted for landowners. And that leaves aside an important portion of potential users that may require these instruments, so subsidies or loans, to afford solar-powered irrigation systems. Other policy instruments, although well, I will go a bit faster, can be tax exemptions for PV foreign suppliers, feed-in tariffs so that people are paid for PV production sold to the grid, new business models to facilitate the affordability of the high investment costs, or water accounting systems to control the use of water resources. In this case, in this last case, there may be also many risks such as tampering, vandalism, or corruption of local agents, as happened in Jordan, for instance. Well, let's go with the conclusions. Let's try to draw some conclusions. Yeah. And recommendations. So we've seen that due to the natural interconnections between resources, the water, energy, and food nexus planning is essential for a proper deployment of solar-powered irrigation system. And also, these systems, solar-powered irrigation systems, can provide multiple direct and indirect benefits, but risks and limitations need to be considered carefully. So to do so, a holistic planning is recommended, including a preliminary integrated assessment of water demand and availability, and also expected trends in the future for well-defined areas. To avoid over-abstractions, well, there are different strategies, but raising awareness on water efficiency and monitoring strategies can be useful tools. And also creating an enabling environment, including these elements, these previous elements, and also policies or distribution channels is crucial. And well, finally, policies, and this is very important, need to be fit for purpose and comprehensive. And their impact need to be evaluated before and after their implementations. And to do so, pilot testing may be a very good option. And that's all from my side. I hope you liked it. You now can understand a bit more about Nexus and its application to solar-powered irrigation systems. Thank you very much.